Welcome to our basketball coaching class presented by Basketball Immersion and Luceo Sports, where we provide a platform for top basketball coaches to dive deep into the details. We're excited to have University of Alabama Birmingham Associate Head Coach Taren Martin. Coach Martin has been at UAB 12 years. She's been a part of 195 victories, one Conference USA regular season championship, and 3 postseason berths, as well as having coached and helped develop some of the most decorated players in program history. Martin was also previously the head coach at Eureka College for 3 years, where she was the St. Louis Intercollegiate Athletic Conference Coach of the Year and an assistant coach at Illinois State. Coach Martin, welcome to the basketball coaching class.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to dive into a few things here and maybe just give us a quick overview of what we're going to talk about as we get started today.
Yes, I have actually, like you said, been at UAB. I'm going on my 12th year here under Coach Norton. And I've known Coach Norton since I was 21 years old. And I played for him at Illinois State and then have been under his wing for quite some time now, if you do the math of where we're at. And so being under him and playing for him, motion offense is very important. And we do a lot of breakdown with our girls and skill training. And so some of the clips that I have today deal with, it comes across as very simple. And a lot of people are like, why is she showing me this? But a lot of it is 2-on-0 cutting and screening. And we progress into 2-on-2. And then we do a lot of transition drills. And some of these basics, we do this every single day. There's not a day that goes by that we don't work on that. And I think a lot of people would be amazed at how messy this can be months after months of doing this. You would think after a couple weeks, this is pretty easy, but it's actually not. Being able to think, move without the ball, being able to create enough spacing to get multiple shots off, I think is very crucial for at least what we run for our motion offense. So the first thing I have here is just 2-on-0 cutting and screening that goes into 2-on-2.
Let's get into the clips here. Great practice footage. Thanks for sharing this with us.
Yes, no problem. So off this, what we do is we start off a line on either left or right lane line, and then we have a group in the corner, and we always create double gaps on all of our spacing so that we can rip through. And different things that we work on is whether it's down screen with a tight cut into a pop. We work on flare screens, the spacing of that. We may tight off that flare screen, and if a person ever tights, the person setting the screen will always pop. And then just the setting of the screen is very important. And we work on these details that when I set a screen, I don't want to roll away from the ball. I always want to set a screen and come back to the ball. So all these details are very important in 2-on-0. And then the other piece is when girls are cutting to the ball, their footwork. And so everybody teaches different footwork. I'm a stickler on catch with that inside foot and then curl into that shot. But others teach differently. But I think it's whatever you teach, just stay very consistent on it and demand that. So we teach back screens.
Talk to us first about the dribble entry here. What's happening on the dribble entry?
So on the dribble right now they're setting that back screen. They're going to set that back screen off that. They're going to cut hard off that. And the other person that sets the back screen needs to pop. When they dribble we're simulating maybe a dribble but they covered it. And then they go into it. And again, it's just constant spacing when you don't have the ball. I think a lot of the times, especially on the women's side, we stand a lot and we're not really sure what to do. So we create different drills just as simple as this to constantly get them moving. And this is just the beginning phases of it. A lot of times what we'll do is when I feel like the girls are good with their single movements, I'll say it has to be double movement. So maybe that back screen's not open. What are we doing after that back screen? We're not standing. We got to cut again. We got to create another flare screen or another back screen or down screen.
So does a dribble always trigger a back screen, or are there other possibilities of this dribble
There's so many different things that we can work off that. Right now it's 2-on-0 and we go into 2-on-2. Sometimes we go 3-on-0. And so it may be if I back cut and I'm not there, maybe I set a pin down screen off that and we can work off of a curl or a tight cut. So it's just different formulations off that.
So the build up to 2-on-2 now.
Yep. So then we're 2-on-2. They understand what they want to do on their motion offense. And then defensively, it's very important that we're teaching them to be in the gap line. We teach gap defense. We are in the gap, but we also do force sideline. So there's different formulas for that one. But we always make sure that we check it up, hand in the face, pass gets made, jump to the ball. If the defender doesn't jump to the ball, our first option is a basket cut. We want to just basket cut, pop, and create that fast-paced offense right off the bat.
Well, I
So
love
as you're
this.
watching,
Yeah,
yep.
sorry, I love this. And I talked to us about this because this is a common problem with motion and conceptual teams is figuring out how to solve some of these problems, which sometimes are advantages and sometimes create bad spacings when two people cut to the same spot. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, the first thing on that basket cut is our first option off that. And then after we do that, setting that down screen away. And a lot of girls don't do a great job of going shoulder to shoulder on these screens. They create that open spot where a defender can get through. And now it's just a defender, you can read everything off that. If you create enough space on those, I can switch, I can do that. But if you can come together and create just a lot of 4-on-4 in a little pod where the defense doesn't know what you're doing. Now you can tight, you can fade, you can back cut, you can cause confusion with the defense to create that spacing. So offensively, in this 2-on-2, I said basket cut first. The second option is we're going to set a screen away. And when we set that screen away, we come together and we need to go shoulder to shoulder. And from there, you can do whatever you want. And that was our 2-on-0. That's why we were learning flare screens, back cuts, but we want to create spacing after. And even when you set that down screen, there's an option off that. Just because defensively I jump to the ball, if you jump too far over, I can slip. So being able to slip before I set that screen, I think it's really important for them. Then if I slip, then the other person has to pop extremely fast. There can't be delays on our motion.
Talk to us now about getting into the penetrate and kick series.
Yeah, so we went 2-on-0, we're in 2-on-2, and now we're gonna go back to 2-on-0, a penetrate and kick. And so penetrate and kick is where we attack lane lines, or we attack into a drift, or we attack in a drift, but maybe we fill behind. And so on this first one that we were shown, we were just attacking into a drift and we filled behind. Then we may go lane line, and then we may transition it out to the half court and we really push and transition and we do the exact same thing where we're getting more of like movement shots where our heart rate's up a little bit higher versus in a half court setting. And when we do this, we then add scout to it. So then scout's there and it's almost 2-on-2 again, but they are going to work on a closeout. So they got to be able to shoot shots with somebody closing out hard. Is this a good shot or do I need to go into a boom 1-2? Which our boom 1-2 is the boom is the ball and our 1-2 is our footwork, or can I get to the rim? So we have a lot of fun with this. And on penetrate and kick, I can go for a good 15 minutes and be super creative off that.
So you also showed some dribble handoffs there in terms of that. Is that one of the ways to be able to trigger and create advantages?
Yeah, so we have some on made shots. We have some triggers that are triggered with a handoff. And so in a handoff, it may be where I go into a handoff and I'm coming off a ball screen. A lot of people run pistol action. We have some pistol looks out of that. So I'm just taking little pieces of those and creating that so we can work on our skill into the passing. So it may be into a handoff throwback with that one hand and directly get them and hit them in the pocket. And I think a lot of times when we're running these drills as coaches, and I've had to learn this again through the years, but everything's a passing drill. And so I can't just throw passes to throw passes. And so I'm on them every single day about, yes, hit them in the pocket so we can get the shot off quick. Otherwise, if it's up high, up low, I can close out, right? But sometimes these details and footwork get missed on drills. So as coaches, we just got to make sure that, yes, we're running these drills, but there's so much more to it. And we got to focus on footwork, spacing, shoulder to shoulder. Can we hit them in the pocket? And especially on 2 when we're going, then we go back on gap defense. Did I box out? Did I get a hand in the face? Like all the details are really important to us.
Quick question in terms of penetrate and kick right now, the player that passes, when they respace, are they always respacing back up to their spot, or are there variations of that depending on everyone else's spacing?
There is variations off this. For the shooting purposes that you're seeing, we
Yeah,
have them pop back, and it's more so footwork that I'm trying to pop them out and go inside foot onto their shot. There'll be times where we'll penetrate, kick to the corner, and I'll make them sprint out to the corner for a pass. And
awesome.
then on penetrate and kick, we'll go three lines as well. So we may have one on the right wing, we'll have one at the top, or maybe a left slot, and then we'll have one over on that left wing. And then we can work on the person as the ball on the right wing will penetrate baseline. We'll work on the drift pass with our right hand. And then it's a quick pass on the fill down from the other girl. And so just working to move the ball.
Talk to us a little bit about your initial alignments, your motion. Are you 5 out, 4 out? Are you changing shapes constantly? What are some of the goals within the alignments and the formations?
Yeah, I think a lot of it depends on who we have on the court. Currently, right now, we run two different variations. It's one is a true 4 out, 1 in because of our post player. But we also run some fist actions, is what we call it, where it starts out as a 5 out. But it depends. But all of them are an entry into maybe the 5 or maybe a dribble handoff. But we are working on down screens and flare screens. It's a fun, Coach Norton does an incredible job of teaching, and I've been lucky to learn under him, and just the details that he demands out of his players, I think is what separates him from a lot of coaches.
Great stuff. This is really good to see. And I know it's very important to you as we wrap up to talk a little bit about being a mother, a wife, a basketball coach, and balancing all those things. And can you lend your expertise to all of us?
Yeah, when I was at Illinois State, like I said, I was coached by Robin Pinchton and Randy Norton, and Robin was a first-time mom, and I got to really witness what that looks like. And she didn't have family around at Illinois State, and she really relied on people that she had built great relationships with. And even with Coach Norton and his wife, their family was up in Iowa, so they didn't have it. So they really valued relationships and players stepping in, and their own kids and their parents. And it's just, I think it's really important to find out who your people are. And you'll be amazed by how many people want to help. And I've lucked out with that. So watching that and learning as I went through, I was able to find people. I will say, coming down to UAB, my family is 12 hours away, and my husband's was as well. And so we were in a new location with nobody. And I was curious if I was going to be able to accomplish this. And again, I think finding your people quickly, I think is really important. But the other piece is, who's your boss and what do they value? And Coach Norton, he really values family, and he wants me to be a mom first and a great wife. So because of him, I'm able to do what I want. And then, of course, I have an incredible husband. And my husband wants me to be great at whatever I am. He has his career and I have mine, but he's always willing to step in and help when I'm on the road. And he takes that role when season is. And then when I'm not in season, we flip flop. He tackles his. And so I think I don't have a nanny. I don't have the money for a nanny. That's just not an option for me. And I want people to understand that you can do it without nannies and money and all that stuff. You can do it. It's just, you got to make sure that you find the right fit for you, whatever that is, at whatever level it is. And just remember your why with that. But it can happen. And you're such a great example to the girls on the team. And they love having the kids there and bringing your spouse to work. It's a really cool thing. But I think finding your people is what's most important.
Beautiful. It's awesome to have your family on your team, literally in that way, and just
Agree.
tremendous to be able to do that. And great insights into all the things that have led to success for you in the program at UAB. And thank you for sharing that insights in terms of motherhood and coaching and being a wife as well. So, Coach, thank you for
Yes,
sharing
thank
with
you.
us.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for watching the Basketball Coach Class. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And check out luceosports.com and basketballimmersion.com today.